It's unfortunate to be involved in a traffic crash. However, if you decide to leave, you've made the situation worse.
A deadly epidemic on the rise. The Florida Highway Patrol and families of loved ones who've fallen victim to hit-and-run crashes joining together today to spread a message. Never leave the scene. And thanks for choosing Fox 4 News at 6 tonight. I'm Amy Wegman.
I'm Patrick Nolan. The families of hit-and-run victims and troopers saying enough is enough already after a series of brutal cases in our region and across the state. 4 in your corner's Carl Fortier laying out the consequences of leaving the scene and hearing from family members about the lasting effects of these kinds of crimes.
Well, in recent years, we've been reporting on a huge number of hit and runs here in Southwest Florida, and the numbers just keep increasing every year. But behind those statistics are grieving families who just want to understand how and why their loved ones are no longer here.
I was furious. I was how can someone leave someone there and not stop when they know that they did something wrong?
Leslie Colantonio vividly recalls hearing the news just last month when she found out that her husband Robert was killed after someone hit his motorcycle on I-75 just south of Bonita Beach Road. The driver fled the scene.
Somewhere out there someone knows something, or someone might know the person that caused this accident and might cause them to come forward. I think justice needs to be served for my husband since my life has now been turned upside down.
In 2014, there were over 5,600 hit-and-run crashes just in the 5 counties of Southwest Florida. That's compared to just over 4,000 in 2012. While fatalities were a fraction of those numbers, Lieutenant Greg Bueno of the Florida Highway Patrol says this trend needs to stop and that the consequences multiply enormously once a driver leaves the scene of a crash.
If you're on scene of a traffic crash and you're at fault, you may get a ticket, you may have to go to court, you may have to pay a fine. All of these things are survivable, but when you make that decision to leave a scene, you've now committed an extra offense, which is a criminal offense.
To just have that closure, to just really know, I think would help a lot.
Misty Snyder's brother Todd was killed by a hit-and-run driver this past November when he was riding his bike home after a football game in Lehigh Acres. While she believes police have an idea of what kind of vehicle may have been involved, she has a message for anyone who might find themselves the driver in a similar circumstance.
If something happens, just be responsible and come forward and you know, help the person, help the situation instead of making the situation worse.
The crashes that killed Todd Snyder and Robert Colantonio are still unsolved. If you know anything about one of these or any other hit-and-run crash, FHP asks that you call them at 239-938-1800. Carl Fortier, Fox 4 in your corner.
Thank you, Carl. If you're ever involved in a crash, FHP wants you to know you need to stay calm, call law enforcement, gather any vehicle, driver, or witness information you can, because those first moments are crucial. And of course, help anyone who's injured as best you can. And if you witness a hit-and-run crash, remember you can always dial *FHP right away.